H is for herbs. And of course, there are so many reasons to pop some herbs on top of what you're eating, in what you're eating while you're cooking it, because the flavour and the smell is just transformed. Herbs are something that I like to use daily if possible, because there's lots of reasons to include them, not just the flavour and the smell of them, but also because they add just a little zingy, extra special something to what you're eating, that you sort of might sit there sometimes when you're out, perhaps for a meal, and think, "Ooh, what's the herb in this, or what's the spice in this even?" And it really does add a je ne sais quoi to it that is really lovely. And so you've also got, of course, the health factor from herbs, because all of the colours have phytochemicals, are phytochemicals that we don't yet know the properties or all the properties of, but many of them have been found to be so beneficial. When you add herbs to a meal, whether they're fresh or whether you cook them, you're adding some extra minerals and vitamins into that dish. And of course, herbs have been used for centuries as medicine before all of the sort of pharmaceutical stuff came along. And so there's huge health benefits in that way, in using little bits and, even a few leaves, for example, to make a pot of tea or pop in a juice. And I'll come back to that in a minute. So one of the things I love to do in the summer particularly, and in the winter, if I have a little side salad, but in the summer it's so lovely to be able to pick basil leaves off the windowsill, or nip outside for a bit of parsley and some chives and chop them into a salad. And lemongrass and mint are lovely in salads as well. Now, you're bumping up your intake of vitamin A, vitamin C, especially the chives, they're high in vitamin C, and potassium, and you've got magnesium there because they're all green leaves. They're rich in those polyphenols, those plant nutrients that I've been talking about. And soft herbs are best for salads. You don't really want to chop the woody herbs into your salads because they'll be a bit chewy. So things like basil are absolutely gorgeous, and particularly where you've got a really tomatoey salad. Chives are great. They add a sort of oniony hit, and mint is absolutely wonderful in a tomato sauce. And one I've forgotten to put on here is coriander. I think that's amazing in a salad, but not everybody likes coriander leaves. But I think they're wonderful in a salad. Parsley, traditionally used a lot in Russia in salads, and lemongrass. Now, lemon balm is a very soothing herb for the nervous system, but it adds this lovely lemony hit to a salad without having to add any lemon to it. So basil, you've got extra potassium, or it's a nice source of potassium, magnesium and calcium. Chives, lovely and high in vitamin C, and sort of in oniony herbs, you've maybe got a bit more sulfur there. Lemon balm has a reputation for calming the nervous system, and because it does that, it can calm other body systems that will be affected by stress nerves. So things like your digestion, conditions like asthma, your heart will also be supported by lemon balm through its support to the nervous system. Again, it's high in potassium. You've got some B9 and some B3 there. And lemon balm contains bitters, again, which are also supportive for the digestive system. Now, mint is high in vitamin C. It's a good source of calcium and iron and potassium. But of course, one of your best sources of iron is parsley. And you've got some copper, manganese, and B1 there. And of course, the manganese is balancing to the iron in the parsley. So it's a really balanced herb, really lovely. Now, if you want to add herbs to cooked meals, I love to add rosemary to roast veg. So if I do summer roast veg like aubergine, courgette, pepper, onion, garlic, tomatoes, I'll push sprigs of rosemary in all over the place. Might even scatter a little bit of chopped dried rosemary in there as well. And it really does give an amazing flavour with olive oil and balsamic vinegar there. And equally in the winter, you can use things like carrot, swede, celeriac, parsnip, maybe even squash or sweet potato, and just roast chunks, mix chunks of those, and again put in your rosemary with the olive oil and balsamic again. Now, bay is great, I think, in anything lentil. So lentil soups, it goes in for me. Tomato sauces, it always goes in as well. If I'm cooking some kind of lentil stew, then again, a bay will go in with that. Bay is great for anything stew-like. Sage is wonderful in roasts and nut roasts. And rosemary is also lovely in nut roasts as well. I do a lovely cashew nut roast with sage and rosemary. That's absolutely delicious. Now, thyme is wonderful in tomato dishes. It's lovely with eggs and egg dishes. And it's one of those herbs that suits most types of your cooking. So stews, soups, it will just bring that little bit of extra flavour too. And the wonderful thing about thyme, it is anti-cancer to pretty much every type of cancer that there is. And sage is associated with longevity. It's helpful for managing blood sugar as well. So anything that you add sage to will also help you manage blood sugar from that meal. So another thing to think about is maybe gathering wild herbs like nettle and dandelion. Now, nettle can be absolutely fantastic as a soup, and it really combines well with, in the spring, with parsley, does nettle, in a fantastic, really flavoursome soup. And at the minute, I've got a recipe and I've lost it and I can't find it because I was going to send it out with this presentation, and at the moment I just cannot find it, so it may have to wait a few minutes or till next time. So dandelion is lovely. It's great to gather the roots from your garden and roast them and grind them and make them into coffee. But the leaves are also great if you gather them and just chop a few of them into a salad. They give a really bitter hit. And dandelion is wonderful for the liver, and nettle is fabulous for the kidneys. So real double organ support there from the wild herbs. And then also think about maybe using fresh herbs in your juices and your warm teas, because the medicinal properties of herbs, they can help just as a top skim of their properties. They help sleep, improve digestion, they support liver and kidney function and also your nervous system. They help promote good gut flora. So generally speaking, they've found in studies that when people use herbs daily, that is associated with good gut flora increase, and particularly the Firmicutes family increase, and the negative proteobacteria decrease. So it's really good to just get a little bit of them in every day, and maybe think about where, if you find yourself with a little space in your garden or some space on your windowsill, think about, grabbing some herbs and growing them instead of flowers. And some of them are so pretty. I mean, the one I've got here is borage, and that sprouts up every year wild in my garden, completely uninvited, but it's so pretty and the bees absolutely love it. Now, borage is rich in omega-6, and it's a herb that is known for promoting joy because of the fact that it contains the omega-6. So it's really good antidepressant, but it's also tasty in a juice. Now, when you're putting a fresh herb in a juice, whether that be parsley, borage, whatever it is that you're juicing, then a tablespoon of the juice is plenty, because they're quite concentrated ingredients, and it's, you know, the flavour's quite strong of these, so it's plenty if you put in just a tablespoon. So you only need quite a small amount really in your juices. And then you can also, of course, use them in herb teas. So if you've got mint in the garden, it makes the most amazing mint tea as compared to buying it in a packet. Sage tea, again at bedtime, will help sleep and also your blood sugar overnight. Stops night sweats for women if they have them. The other lovely ones are things like rosemary and thyme, because of their anti-cancer properties. They're essential oils and they're really flavoursome teas. You only need, again, a little bit, probably a sprig or two, and you'll find that's plenty for your tea. So all the benefits coming in there with that. And of course, chamomile is so easy to get dried. I haven't actually got any chamomile growing in the garden, so if I was going to use chamomile, I would tend to get the flowers. So rather than buy it in, you know, the sachets, which can have plastic in the tea bags, I would tend to buy a packet of chamomile flowers, dried chamomile flowers, and use those in herb tea rather than the tea bags. And that's the great thing about, you know, picking herbs out of your garden. You've not got the rotten old tea bag there. You can just pop it in a teapot and make your own. So enjoy these herbs and savour the health benefits as well. Look after you.